All right, identify how you're going to win. All right, there are a few ways that you will win work, right? And so one of them is you're going to propose superior service or product. Maybe that's how you're going to win, with superiority. Right? Maybe you're going to win on price. Maybe you're going to win on schedule. Maybe you feel like you can get this thing done faster than anybody else. Maybe you're not the cheapest, maybe you're not the best, but you can get it done fastest. All right? Maybe it's a combination of those three things, of any of those three things, but those are probably the three broad categories upon which you're going to win work: superior service and product, price, and schedule, or some combination thereof. All right, assemble the proposal team. You want to sit down with that proposal team, because chances are it's not going to be just you. You're going to have multiple subject matter experts and leaders working with you on the proposal. All right, so get them together and go through the requirements and the scope. Work with them to identify your win themes. This is not how you're going to win. Remember, how you're going to win is superiority, price, and schedule. Win themes are the things about you, your company, your product and service that make you stand out from the competitors. So an example of a win theme might be if there's a service that's been provided by an incumbent provider for a number of years, and the prospect is considering moving to a new vendor or contractor. There's always a certain amount of risk involved with that, right? It's a transitional period. You're moving from a known entity to an unknown, and there are lots of risks that can be involved with that. So your win theme, perhaps you have had experience in transitions just like this, and you've got a great track record. So your win theme might be to say, it is safe to transition to us, and then spell it out why. But that might be a win theme. So just those kinds of things that make your product or service better or differentiate you from your competition. Win themes. Identify the win themes and then make sure that those win themes are strung throughout your proposal writing. You want to determine and communicate a schedule, a proposal schedule with that team. It's not enough to sit the proposal team down and say, okay, Joe, you are assigned to this section, Sally, you're assigned to this other section. You've got to talk through with them what the schedule is, what the expectations are, when their first drafts are due, when a second draft might be due, any other expectations that you have with them. But you got to communicate that schedule, or else people will wait till the very last minute to write or provide whatever it is that you need, and that won't do. You have to leave time in your schedule to conduct a number of reviews, and we'll talk about those reviews here in a moment as well. Speaking of reviews, in addition to the proposal teams, you need to identify up front your review teams. Now, review teams may include some of the very people that helped write the proposal, and it's also probably going to include people that had nothing to do with writing the original content of the proposal. But you got to get that team identified up front, both of those teams identified up front, because in both cases, the folks that would participate in those teams, that's not their full-time job, right? They've got a full-time job. They're out doing that full-time job, and this proposal stuff is on top of their job. So you can't wait to ask them to participate or direct them to participate. You got to identify it up front. All right, going from raw materials to a formal response, there's a number of things to keep in mind. One is wherever possible, provide appropriate responses from previous proposals, right? That reuse, we talked about that a little while ago when you create that repository. Take as much of your existing material as you possibly can and plug it in, and then go from there. Don't start from scratch if you don't have to. Don't just copy and paste and say, hey, I've fulfilled the requirements of this RFP. Copy and paste things in as a starting point and then edit from there, right? Make it unique to this proposal. We talked about assigning due dates for first drafts, that sort of thing. We want to then edit responses from all of the proposal writers to ensure that there is one voice in the writing. So it's got to sound like and read like one person wrote it, even though you may have half dozen or a dozen contributors to a proposal. All right, so do those kinds of edits. I mentioned review teams. There's actually a couple of types of reviews that you need to consider. The first type of review is called a green team review. So a green team review is really when you are reviewing the content. Did I answer the question? Did I do more than answer the question? Did I do it succinctly? Is the message in the response correct? Are the win themes strung throughout? So content review, that's green team. There's also red team review then that follows edits to the green team review, and that red team is really focused on things like format, grammar, fonts, spelling, references, those sorts of things. So that's a red team review, and that's one of the very last steps prior to production. The last step prior to actually producing the proposal in whatever format the prospect requires is a production review. So let's say a prospect has a requirement that you would submit 5 printed copies of a proposal. Well, don't print them all off. Print a first run and leaf through the printout page by page. Do things break on the right pages? Is the format right? Do we have blank pages inserted where necessary? If I've got tabs, does the pagination all work? Those sorts of things. So a clean production review. Once you're good with that, then go ahead and actually produce the proposal.